So, it's a new year, and you know what that means. It's another 12 months of fear and agony and worry and stress.
Hey all, Scott here, and this is bad, real bad.
Do you know what will help? Movies and escapism. Here to talk about a couple of movies that I saw from last year as a kind of end of year catch up, except it's not the end of the year, it's the beginning of this new year. So I think I'm going to start off with a positive, and I'm going to talk about
the rendezvous point for my daughter,
right.
Willa.
If you can't answer what time is it, I cannot give you the rendezvous point. This is a key tenet of the rebellion text. I'm surprised you can't name it. I don't know if you are who you say you are.
Okay.
One Battle After Another is the latest Paul Thomas Anderson film. It's the most expensive film that Paul Thomas Anderson has ever made. It's like a proper big budget Hollywood movie, and usually he sort of stays in the realm of esoteric, kind of art house, smaller scale movies. This one is definitely a much bigger and louder affair. I won't go into the plot details really, because to be honest, there isn't much of a plot. It's more of just like a sequence of Leo trying to find his daughter and trying to save her from her fate. This movie doesn't slow down at any point. It's pretty much from start to finish. There's constantly stuff happening, and I think that's probably why it played so well to a wider audience, quite surprisingly, is because there is just so much happening. The thing that really makes it, for me, you could talk about the score, or you could talk about the editing, or the general direction and cinematography, which is all really, really excellent, superb, perfect, as you would imagine it to be from Paul Thomas Anderson. But the thing that I enjoyed the most about the movie was probably the characters. It's the performances and the commitment to the performances that are really mesmerizing in a way. Sean Penn specifically as the villain. Like, I don't know how someone is able to have a villainous walk, or to have an interesting walk, indeed, even, is quite a feat of acting, really, when you think about it. Leo's kind of frantic, like, zoned out, kind of drug-addled. He's basically having an episode throughout the whole movie. As I say, there's nothing on a technical level that I could fault the movie on, but it wasn't my favourite of the year, personally, although I can understand why it would be a lot of people's. And I'm glad that it was successful, because it seems like something that on paper probably wouldn't be. Maybe it was just the star power of Leonardo DiCaprio that kind of helped it along. I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson is not an unknown name or anything, but his movies don't usually do this, you know, these numbers.
I need you, brother. Sensei, please.
Courage, Bob. Courage.
That's it. Courage. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, sweetie. How was the premiere?
Great, but Dad really is a wizard.
Sure, Dad's a wizard.
Dad, show them.
I wanted to talk about Wicked for Good and how insipid I find the whole thing. I'll be honest right off the bat and say that in regards to the first movie, I didn't think it was as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought that it was far too long for what it was, but in terms of an adaptation of something that I really don't care about, it seemed like it was doing an okay job. It had some okay songs in it. I'm not a massive musical guy, but there were some catchy songs, there were some moments that were vaguely enjoyable. So I gave it a 5 out of 10. I think that's fair coming from me. I thought it would have been a hell of a lot worse, but ultimately it was just fine, and I'd imagine that people that enjoy Wicked would have gotten something out of it. Wicked for Good, on the other hand,
that is one big pile of shit.
it is genuinely insulting that they thought that they could stretch this material out into a full film. Not only is the stage show that the whole thing is based on only about 2 hours 40, which I think is the length of the first movie, you're adding basically an extra 2.5 hours or so onto the story. Apparently the second half of the stage show is not as good as the first, and that's kind of a widely, commonly held belief amongst the fans even. I can't speak to that because I've never seen it, of course. This whole film felt like it was like an epilogue to a story that had kind of already concluded and already done everything that it was going to do. The way that the characters progress, or indeed don't progress in this movie, it just feels like you're just stretching out the story and the characters for no real reason, just on the basis of like plot, or in fact even like any interesting songs or sequences. There is really nothing in here. All the best stuff is definitely in that first part, and what you're left with is the realization that this whole thing was just a cynical corporate decision to adapt a popular stage musical, which was an adaptation of a book, which was like a kind of terrible fan fiction of The Wizard of Oz, which was an adaptation of a book. So we're so many parts removed from the original intention of this story and this universe and anything that it was going for. Fans of the musical will probably just be happy sticking with the musical, and things that might work well on a stage don't really translate as well to a movie. It's not as impressive because visually this movie is ugly as hell. I didn't think the first movie was particularly nice. Has this kind of modern digital sheen over the whole thing, but the second movie in particular definitely looked like everyone was just stood on a green screen, and that extends also to the characters within the movie. Everyone looks unwell, and this is something that's been commented on by the internet at length. I think it's important to point out that these people genuinely look unwell and that they look distracting, and that I don't want to see Ariana Grande's gaunt face. It's scary. And it's gonna scare kids. It's not that we should be making fun of people's appearances, it's that we should be calling out unhealthy practices in Hollywood. And when you think about the movie's core demographic and target demographic, which is that of young girls, these are not the types of role models that I think should be being shown to young developing women. And just the corporate cynicism of the whole thing, like, you forget about the way that it fucks around with the story and fucks around with one of the most iconic movies of, you know, all time in the original Wizard of Oz, and all of this pointless, basic reversal of the plot. Oh, all the characters you thought were good are actually bad, and all the characters you thought were bad, they're actually good, and they're actually just misunderstood. But forgetting all of that, you then have all of the corporate marketing elements of this movie. I don't think I've seen a single other movie that has been whored out as much as this one. The amount of brand deals and advertisements that I've seen, the straw that broke my back was when I was doing an online shop for food and I got advertised a fucking Wicked themed loaf of bread. That's just not normal. That is not a thing that needs to exist. Were they that broke that they needed to, you know, spread their cheeks for any and all corporations that wanted in on the Wicked branding? I don't know. Hopefully that is an indication that they spent too much money on the movie and needed to make some back with the marketing. I can understand toys. I can understand selling merchandise like that. When you are plastering the Wicked branding on fucking like phones and bread and fucking Dunkin' Donuts, it just becomes obnoxious. And then I can't see past that when I watch the movie, because it's like I'm just watching a McDonald's advertisement. It just sums up everything that I hate about the industry and everything that I hate about modern filmmaking, the corporate diseased nature of the whole thing. The actors look like they're fucking dying. It's not even really their fault. It's more of the fault of the industry at large. Yeah, I think the whole thing is horrible. I think it's all cynical. I think it's terrible. There is not a single shred of an interesting idea within this whole story. This narrative that they're telling just seems like a massive waste of time. If it wasn't related to The Wizard of Oz, it would not have gotten this far. It would not have a successful play. It would not have a successful film franchise. So yeah, I didn't like it very much. You might be able to tell. I just want to mention as well, I saw the movie with two people who are both self-proclaimed Wicked fans, and they both hated it as well. So it's not just me. There is something deeply wrong about this second movie that people seem to have picked up on. So yeah, that's that. Just wanted to mention that. Alright, let's talk about 28 years later then, shall we? the third movie in the 28 franchise, is that what we're calling it? After 28 Days Later and 28 weeks later, we have 28 years later, reunion of Danny Boyle and Alex Garland back to this universe. 28 weeks later is not a movie that I've seen. Seems to be very divisive. You either love it or you hate it. Didn't have anything to do with Danny Boyle or Alex Garland, or indeed they were very loosely involved with the making of that film. So I have personally no interest in it because I don't like zombie movies, and that's something that I want to preface this review with. I find zombies very boring. I don't find them particularly scary, and the genre is so cliched and so stagnant at this point. There is nothing really that can be done with it to make it fresh anymore, or at least it seems that way to me. The original 28 Days Later is a movie that I enjoy, and I really enjoy the third act. I do think, I mean, it's very admirable in a lot of ways, and I do enjoy it as a movie, but it has a lot of the same kind of typical zombie movie beats to it. And I appreciate that it was, one of the first modern zombie movies, kind of brought the genre back a bit from the dead, so to speak, haha. But it's still not really the type of movie that I love, or that I feel myself being able to connect with. 28 Years Later intrigued me off the bat because it was the return of Danny Boyle and Alex Garland specifically being a writer and director in his own right that I really, really loved. And then hearing about how Danny Boyle was, much like the first movie, was really going out of his way to break convention, shall we say, with the way that it was shot. It was shot on like iPhones, and he was using these like bullet time rigs. And I was interested to see how they were going to recontextualize the franchise after such a long time, what they were going to add to it. And this film really delivered for me, and I think I loved it. There's so many things like off the bat that I love about film in terms of its filmmaking in general, and the decisions that are being made are so creative, and every scene kind of feels like it was shot in a way where Danny Boyle or his DP or whatever were thinking, what's the most interesting way that we can shoot this? How can we make this scene more engaging in a way that so few filmmakers are able to seemingly do, especially in horror movies? It just always seems to be just so like boring and flat, and the way that they choose to shoot and edit and present scenes, along with the score, which is one of my favorite scores for a long time, done by Young Fathers. Really fantastic. Thinking about that like waterway scene where they're running away from the Alpha, minor spoilers for all this, I suppose. I should have said that at the beginning. The way that the music is used in that moment is so unique, because usually you would just have like a very tense, kind of typical cliched music, right? They chose to have this more almost triumphant, it still manages to be tense while also the music is almost at odds with what's happening. And the visuals in that scene as well, it's almost dreamlike, the way that the sky is like so overblown and you can see like the stars and like galaxies and shit. It's just really weird. It's just so creative in every way, and it pushes the boat out in terms of filmmaking and the standard of filmmaking for these types of movies. And in terms of the story as well, it's this lovely sort of coming of age story, and it's this maternal versus paternal at its core, where Spike, the main kid, goes out with his father, learns how to kind of fight and look after himself in that way, and then when he leaves the compound for the second time in the second half of the film, he's with his mother. He's being taught all of these emotional lessons. It's also about having to say goodbye to one of your parents as well, and the whole third act just becomes this beautiful meditation on like loss and death, and manages to turn it into something positive. And for like a zombie movie especially, it's just so bizarre to see something so profound and emotional, especially used as like the third act of your zombie apocalypse movie. I also love the framing device of seeing this Jimmy character as a kid and what happens to him at the beginning to kind of set you up, give you a reminder of what happened to the world, and then to circle all the way back around to his character at the very end and give you a teaser for this next film and how this character has clearly been fucked up by his experiences and where that's going to go. Very excited to see the new movie. So yeah, great movie. I did want to briefly just touch on the new Predator movie that came out. I suppose it's the third Predator movie since the Disney takeover after Prey. Then they did that like animated one, which also came out last year, which I didn't see. This is also the director of Prey, which I was excited for when it came out because it was like a period piece. And then sadly, it was exactly what you'd expect. It just kind of felt like a soft reboot of the Predator movies. Too many throwbacks to the original film as well. The acting was pretty terrible. It's just a generally kind of forgettable movie. It wasn't awful or anything, but forgettable is a good word. I barely remember anything about it. And now we have the director coming back to do Predator Badlands, I think it's called. This movie off the bat really confused me because it is a 12 rating. It's like the first kind of for all audiences Predator movie. And if you've seen any of the other movies, that's kind of surprising because they are very violent and they are very kind of shocking, and that's kind of part of the appeal is the violence. It's about like a predator, a hunter who hunts human beings specifically. In this movie, there are no human beings. The only people that he kills are like androids. The movie is very sanitized, and immediately off the bat, I was skeptical of that. That's not really what I want to see with the Predator movies. They're not high art or anything, but part of what is enjoyable about them is the fact that they're basically like horror movies in a sense. You know, they're about human beings being hunted by an alien that is far more powerful than they are. They're almost like slasher movies in a sense. And this movie just didn't have any of that. You know, the Predator is like the main character. I suppose if you're very into Predator lore, you'd probably get something out of this. You see their like home world and their culture and everything. There are a couple of things that I liked about the movie that I'll just say so that I'm not being too negative about it. I really appreciate the genuine balls that it took for the movie to start out in a foreign language. The Predators have their own language, and to not have a single piece of English dialogue in the movie for like the first 20 odd minutes. Like it was quite a while until you get introduced to the android character who speaks in English. And I was also expecting the Predator himself to eventually start speaking in English. Like once the android came in, maybe they might translate for the audience, but they didn't. They kept him speaking in his own language for the whole movie, which means that this movie has a lot of subtitles in it, and the entire like first 20 minutes are all subtitled. Although this movie is going for a wider audience, and it certainly does a lot of things that piss me off trying to reach a wider audience. You know, people are afraid to watch foreign movies because they're subtitled. People don't like reading subtitles when they're watching movies. It's baffling to me, but apparently a lot of people do think this way. So I thought it was really cool that they got a bunch of kids in to watch this movie. They got a bunch of general audience members to come in, and they lambasted them with subtitles for the first 20 minutes of the movie, and kept the subtitles for the rest of the film because the main character never speaks English. And I think that's great because I think that will hopefully acclimatize people to the idea of reading subtitles and watching movies that are not in their own language, because there are so many great movies that are not in English and that you are depriving yourself of if you don't give them a go. So I appreciate that. I also think that the action scenes, for what they are in a bubble, are pretty well done and pretty well directed and choreographed. The visual effects were actually quite good at points as well. A lot of the movie has kind of a digital kind of clean look, like a lot of new movies do, but for the most part I didn't have a problem really with the visual language of the film. I thought it was all pretty good. In terms of the negatives, I think that it really just lacks any sort of compelling narrative or story. It really is so basic and simple. And if you've watched any other movie in your life, you will know exactly where the story is going. You'll know exactly how everything shakes out. You'll know exactly how the relationships develop. Before you even sat down in the theatre, you will know exactly where this story is going. There's so many scenes of the characters just sat talking to each other, and it's just inane. It is like you're watching nothing. And yes, it is insultingly kind of clean and PG. The moment they throw in a cute side character with big eyes that is clearly there to sell toys and to appeal to little children, I just despaired, because I'm watching a movie that is linked to both Alien and Predator.
It's good for the kids if it's good for you, know.
And then you're watching this movie, and it's made for children, and it felt very much like Star Wars. You know, it was very much aping that. The main character even has like a fucking lightsaber sword thing. And I just thought, well, this is generic and boring. I'm shocked that it was getting as many positive reviews. To me, this just really smacks of Disney going, let's make this into our next Star Wars. So if you like this movie, I'm happy. I hope you want to see more of this level of Predator movie, because I'm sure there will be many, many more kid-friendly Predator movies from now on. I'm not really into that. Just wasn't for me at all. If you're a 12-year-old boy, this will be your favourite movie of all time. I can guarantee it. Anyway, it wasn't awful, I suppose, but it was generic and it was boring. Excuse me. It's a movie. It was a movie. Well, I think I've made it to the end of this. So my favourite movie that I saw from last year didn't actually come out last year, technically. It was released on Christmas 2024, but I did see it in January of 2025, so it only just counts as a 2024 movie. I saw it in January, so I'm counting it. Send your complaints to the usual address. It's Nosferatu. It's the Eggers. Robert Eggers is just, I feel like he was put on this earth to make movies specifically for me. I feel spiritually connected to this man. I may love him. This film is just everything that I want. It's very rare that I ever go back and see a movie in the cinema, but I had to see this movie twice because the audio visual experience of this film was just intense, you know, but it was one of those that you needed the big sound. You needed the big screen. And it's one of those movies that you can't really get the same experience at home, and I kind of knew that. Had to see it a couple times just to really savor that experience. It's just perfect. It's perfect in its tone, in its adherence to the kind of historical accuracy which Eggers is very much known for. It's clearly a story that he has really thought about and really loves, and you can see that passion leaking through every shot and in every scene. I was initially kind of skeptical of Lily Rose Depp and even Bill Skarsgård to an extent, because I've seen him as obviously Pennywise, and I thought, okay, well, this is a very good performer. Not sure, like, I'm a bit worried that I might see maybe a bit too much Pennywise in this performance, or that he might overdo it. I don't know, but they may as well have actually dug up a Romanian corpse and got him to perform in the film, because it's an incredible transformation on his side, and also the makeup and the hairstyling, costume and everything. It just looks amazing. Lily Rose Depp as well. She really gave herself to this film and to this performance. I underestimated her. Lily Rose Depp, I was not aware of your game, but I am now. Other things that I liked about it, the music was great. It's not afraid to be gross and creepy, and that makes the whole thing just so much better. You can tell that Eggers cares so much about everything that he does. I feel happy that this man is out there making movies the way that he makes them. Not technically a film that came out last year, I suppose, but it was my favourite movie that I saw last year, so that counts. That counts. It's good enough for me. I don't know if there's anything else I really want to say. I'm going slightly delirious. I've been trapped in a cupboard for about an hour, just rambling a bunch of nonsense. I never know how to end videos. Like and subscribe. That's what I should start saying at the end of videos. Please like and subscribe. Hit that bell. Is there even a bell anymore? I don't know.